This comes to us from the Global Government Affairs of X. It says the voice of X's Global Government Affairs team with over 500,000 followers and officially part of the X team. And they said last week, a Brazilian judge from Blumenau, Santa Catarina, ruled that removing content deemed unlawful under Brazilian law is not enough if limited to Brazil. The judge is now demanding the global removal of online content under threat of hefty fines for the platform. These decisions are based on recent Superior Court of Justice precedent. This means that even if the content is not unlawful in other countries, the Brazilian judiciary believes it has the power to issue orders that extend beyond its own jurisdiction and reach the entire world. Take a second and just think about how insane that mindset is and how they're going to get laughed out of the room for this. But honestly, at the end of the day, not too different from what Ofcom is trying to do right now with the UK and far overreaching their jurisdiction to the United States with the lawsuits of 4chan and Kiwi Farms that is being represented by my lawyer, Ron Coleman, to push back against that. Not so different in Brazil. And it's got to make you wonder, with all these things happening at the same time, why is that? Why are these other countries all of a sudden saying, hey, I know you guys are seeing this stuff over there, but because we don't want you to, that's now our jurisdiction. It's like, no, you can't do that. This is like World War III territory. This contradicts a basic principle of international law that limits jurisdiction to a national territory and puts global freedom of expression at risk. Some of the replies here are a classic. This is Natalia says, censorship is democracy. You are here. Brazil, The Matrix, Lord of the Flies, Soylent Green, Fahrenheit, They Live, Brave New World, Animal Farm, Mad Max, Idiocracy, 1984, Hunger Games. Morales making a school. Absolute censura. This is full-blown fascism. The Brazilian judiciary is completely out of control. Someone needs to intervene. And I have this story I pulled up just from, I believe this is from a couple months ago, but it's related specifically to what's happening right now. And I think it's important to talk about this because Brazil will not stop, guys. And when I've made these videos before, many people in Brazil watch these videos and are like, thank you. Please talking more about this. Please keep bringing this up. This is a massive, massive issue. Brazil Supreme Court rules digital platforms are liable for users' posts. Ruling risks stoking tensions with the U.S. amid accusations of censorship of social media groups. And this was in June 2025. Brazil's Supreme Court has ruled that social media platforms can be held legally responsible for users' posts, in a decision that tightens regulation on technology giants in the country. Companies such as Facebook, TikTok, and X will have to act immediately to remove material such as hate speech, which this one I always fall back on. Like, what is hate speech? What we determined it is, or what you determined it is? What is that? Incitement to violence, which I'd like to think is a pretty universally understood thing, but no, because that's a gray area too. Or anti-democratic acts, in quotes, whatever the hell that could be, even without a prior judicial takedown order, as a result of the decision in Latin America's largest nation late on Thursday. The move follows rising concerns in Brazil about harmful digital content. Oh, think of the children, especially its impact on young people. Holy shit. And we're back here again to think of the children. But this time, it's not the UK. It's not North Korea. It's Brazil. It's got to make you wonder about the World Economic Forum and how much money is being pushed behind every single one of these central governments to do these things. And will feed the global debate about the boundaries of online free speech. The decision was attacked by critics who warned it could lead to preemptive censorship by tech groups, which it absolutely would. It also risks fueling tensions with U.S. administration of President Donald Trump, which has threatened visa restrictions for foreign nationals found to be censoring American companies and citizens. Secretary of State Marco Rubio last month said Washington was considering sanctions against Brazilian Supreme Court judges under the Magnitsky Act, which targets overseas officials over corruption or human rights abuses. The justice, Andre de Morales, temporarily banned Elon Musk's social media platform X last year after the billionaire refused to obey court orders to suspend certain accounts. Brazil's top court on Thursday paved the way for individuals to be able to sue digital platforms if they bring illegal content to the company's attention, but it is not deleted. Under a previous rule, apps and sites were only deemed civilly liable for damages caused by third-party posts when they failed to comply with judicial orders to take down the offending content. With 8 out of the 11 judges ruling in favor, the court found this was no longer sufficient to protect fundamental rights and democracy. Conservatives in the South American nation said that the judgment, which will be effective once officially published, would have a chilling effect on the freedom of speech, which, by the way, like I said, this was a couple of months ago. This post from X was today at 11 a.m. And this is not the first time that Brazil has been defying Trump. This is from Reuters. The Brazilian judge defying Trump is testing peers' patience. This is on September 1st. It's a paid article. But you know what? You go to Yahoo and they're like, hey, we'll just copy and paste it, bro. Reuters, the Brazilian judge defying Trump is testing peers' patience. Brazil's Supreme Court goes into final deliberations in its trial of former President Jair Bolsonaro this week in a case that has incurred the wrath of U.S. President Trump. No man has felt the force of that fury or dismissed it so scornfully as Alexander de Morales, the judge who put Bolsonaro under house arrest, jailed hundreds of his backers for invading government buildings, and cowed Elon Musk over social media content. His pursuit of Bolsonaro has led Trump to impose a 50% trade tariff on Brazil, visa restrictions, and individual freedom sanctions. So if you can't tell already, there is a lot of challenges that Brazil is pushing forward with many, many different areas of the world and saying what we want has to go everywhere. And it's going to make you wonder, again, it's going to make you wonder why that is. And in a weird way, thank God that Trump is the president right now to stand up against this stuff. Could you guys imagine what the world would look like if it was like Kamala Harris and this stuff was happening? Like, what an absolute catastrophe we'd be dealing with right now, with the freedoms being challenged every second and potentially falling. And the Constitution would be trying its best to hold up against it. But my goodness, these people. Taylor says, Bolsonaro is like the only right-wing persona that could have a chance against Lula's election, meddling. So this is just an opportunity to control everything. Eagle Eric says, the Trump curse is very real. Don't F with him. Yep. Rails of Steel, the more and more that happens around the world, I think the USA should lean towards being more isolationist. I almost feel like, in a weird way, I understand where you're going with that, but it's not beneficial to do that. But at the same time, to threaten that can be. So I see where you're coming from. Eric says the world would basically be cooked if Kamala is it Kamala or Kamala? I don't even know. Nor do I care to even learn. Taylor says Biden and the CIA helped Lula get elected with a similar January 6th and Jan 8th. Trump could help us, unironically. Buddy Cassius says isolate more. I think the greater point with all of this, and I'll leave it at this. I feel like Brazil needs to know their role and starting to push out their judgments on the rest of the world. Like they can't be this crazy. They can't be this idiotic to think that what they say goes. But apparently, they're going to keep testing the legal system worldwide and probably keep failing. But stay vigilant and keep pushing back because there's never going to be an end to this stuff, as we've seen. But I will leave that there.